Sparking Zero is boring to me right now. I'm not even gonna lie. It's pretty boring right now. Man, it's sad because I really do and truly enjoy this game. This game is, how do I put it? This game is fun. Like, I really like the game, but it's in a boring state. Let me put it like that. When it comes to, just playing at a high rank, it feels like everything just literally goes into a super counter, into a vanish war. And I want them to increase the speed of vanish wars. Each time somebody vanishes, it increases the speed on the vanish wars, or increases the speed so that vanish wars don't last as long and it's more so skillful. I feel like, even a B player, no offense to the B players that are out there, but I feel like even a B player can really just master, vanish wars, or just vanishing in general when it comes to vanish wars. And I feel like the gameplay doesn't look any different from when you're playing at a top level. I guess it doesn't look different. I feel like low and top ranks look a little similar. I just think that when it comes to the top level, the only difference is probably reading your opponent in neutral game. But I feel like the basic mechanics of the game, it looks similar. I feel like if I showed you a clip, you probably wouldn't know a guy is in B, C rank unless he's hitting crazy reads or something. But in terms of mechanics, you're probably just not gonna really notice the difference. Now, I was a person who did not want super counters nerfed at first, and I'm still a little iffy on the super counters because I do see both parties of people who want to get them nerfed, and I see the other parties where people who don't want to get them nerfed. I see both parties, and I understand both, sides and everything when it comes to super counters. I just feel like super counters are leading into repetitive gameplay. You super counter into a vanish war. I think that's the main problem, or one of the main problems. And I think the main problem when it comes to singles and DP is that singles is not as versatile as DP, whereas DP is versatile, but DP is a lot of cheese, whereas single is not really. Single is cheese, but not as much as DP. But the thing with singles is that you just run into the same characters. You run into MUI Goku, Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4, Gogeta Blue, Vegito, Broly, Jiren, the other Ultra Instinct Goku, any fusion, Kefla. Like, you're just running into the same characters at the top level, and it's pretty rare for somebody to play a different character. But people are just playing those characters because it's the most optimal thing to do, obviously. And that just it leads to repetitive gameplay when you add the super counters into the vanish war on top of this, the same characters in 1v1s. It's just boring. And then DP is just like, it's really long. It's a long game mode. But some people don't have a problem with DP being long, and I respect that. But the problem with DP is that it's nothing but cheese, and there's a little bit of a bug right now in DP where you can't transform and you can't change your character. You can't switch out characters. That's the only reason why you guys haven't seen DP videos from me, is because whenever I play DP, it's like I can't swap, or I can't charge, or I can't go to Super Saiyan, and it's like there's no point in me playing DP if I'm not playing what the game mode is meant for me to do. So we are getting a change in December. Now in December, they did say that they're releasing a mechanics change, and that I think that's going to cover the super countering, vanishing, and maybe all the other defense mechanics, just the pure mechanics of the game. It didn't really say anything in terms of balancing, just mechanics. They probably are listening to the people who think super countering is way too easy, or it just leads to repetitive gameplay. So if they're just listening to them, then that's probably why we're getting some game mechanic, changes instead of the balancing when it comes to Sparking Zero. And I think it's a good change. Yeah, I do, because it's really going to separate the good players, versus the casuals. And I'm not trying to take jabs at anybody who plays the game casually. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying that when you do look at top tier gameplay, I don't think it's too similar. I really just think reading in the neutral game is just different. That's all I think. But I'm not trying to take jabs at anybody or anything like that. Now, this game, they didn't really disclose on all the game mechanics they're changing. It could be a number of things. Now, I'll tell you what I think of the defense mechanics, or I'll tell you what the mechanics I think are fine. I think revenge counters are fine. It takes 2 stock bars, and it takes 2 stock bars to counter it. I think that's pretty fair. Both players are at equal advantage. The only time you're in a disadvantage if you play wrong. But again, that's your fault. I do think that mechanic is perfectly fine. I think vanishing, again, I think that needs a bit of a touch I don't like how it just do like you're just vanishing over and over. I feel like when both parties have the rhythm down, nobody's gonna mess up, and it really turns to a snooze fest when both of you aren't sparking, and you know one of you don't want to get hit, and so you keep vanishing because you don't want to get level 5 super, and you go from sparking to literally no key, and that could take a lot of time, you know what I mean? Especially if it's in a tournament, people are going to snooze fest off of that. You know, if it was faster, it would create a little bit of a skill gap because the timing is changing after each vanish, so people are actually interested, more intrigued, and you know, the speed of anything, you know, in a fighting game. Speed is really essential when it comes to a fighting game, especially a game like this. You know, people want to see that fast, you know, throwing hands mechanic. They want to see people really, you know, throw hands and everything. They don't want to see, you know, just repetitive vanishing. And I agree with that. Now my super counters, again, I'm going to touch on this again. I am on both sides, and it's bad because it's like I do understand everybody saying super counters is too easy, at least for repetitive gameplay. I understand that too, but I understand that super counters, you know, may or may not be difficult to, you know, pull off sometimes when it comes to super countering. Sometimes I mess up a lot of times when it comes to super counters. Sometimes I'm hitting it frame 1. And no, it's very iffy. It could be because the servers and you know, everybody internet is different. That's probably why. But I understand. I'm a little neutral on the super counters. We're gonna leave that out of there. I know what a lot of people think about super counters right now, but I'm curious as to see if anybody, you know, mind changed or you know, anything changed when it came to super counters. Like, do you like I don't want them nerfed, or do you want them nerfed? With me, I'm down whatever. I am eager to see though, like, what would they do if they nerfed super counters? I think this is the reason why I don't want them nerfed a little bit, is because it's like, if you do nerf super counters and you keep the current balance in the game, let's say somebody's getting countered by a Gogeta or like a really strong fusion or a Jaren, right? And they're getting hit from behind. Let's say you do nerf super counters, right? And they're already a little bit difficult to do, and you're gonna make them more difficult to do. If you're taking back shots, right, and super counters are harder to do, wouldn't people just complain about fusion characters more, or the top tier characters more, because they can't break out of a combo? And I do find it easier to break out of top tiers combos more with super counters, because a lot of them tack really fast, which leads to you just literally having the mass super counter. So it's like, if they nerf it and you're getting hit by a Gogeta who has like the second highest damage in the game, or like a Jaren who has extremely good stats, or an MUI Goku, right? And they nerf it. How are you planning to get out of it? Because the only thing you have is vanishing and, you know, super counter. But when it comes to the super counter aspect, or when it comes to vanish aspect, I feel like that's going to be easy. I don't think they'll change the vanishing when it comes to that, only vanish wars. But the super counter is going to be like, okay, it's harder to get out, but yet I'm dealing with a Jaren that has his unblockable ult with sparking. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like if they do nerf super counters, that means they will have to nerf the fusions, and that's probably what they're planning on doing. But again, in the tweet, they didn't say that they're gonna nerf fusions or anything like that. They didn't say anything about that. They just said the game mechanics. So I'm eager to see what this patch is gonna bring us in December. It will really change the game, and we'll probably see a lot of players drop from Z rank, and a lot of players shoot up to Z rank. We'll see a lot of people really get exposed, probably, for, you know, being bad and good. Hopefully it's not me. Subscribe and tune in to see, but I promise you won't be me. But that's really all I have to say. You know, I'm curious as to what you guys think about the game right now. Like, SparkingZero is a really good game. I love the game. I'm probably never gonna drop this game. I completely love the game, but I just think the game is in a boring state. I don't think the game is boring, but it's in a boring state. And that's something that I think a lot of people can get behind right now. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I upload daily content. I also stream every day. Tymierrr, Tymier with 3 R's. Thank you so much for watching me, boys. Peace. Love you guys.